Erik and Lyle Menendez were both denied parole. Now, there is leaked audio of Erik Menendez and what went on in his parole board hearing, which is a very good window into the reality that I teed up before the break, which is why I think this didn't happen. I think that their infamy is part of this. Now, let me bring in their attorney, Mark Geragos. This is the first time counsel has discussed these decisions in prime time since then. Thank you for doing it, Counselor. Always a pleasure. Why do you believe parole was denied, and do you think it would have been the same if they were not the Menendez?
No, if they were not the Menendez, they would have been given a release date. They did get, and I'm told that they got the least possible, which is a 3-year date. 1 year you can apply to come back. But you'll hear if you play some of the leaked tapes, one of the ironies of this is for Lyle, they called him, his parole commissioner, called him a model inmate, but said he broke the rules with cell phones. And then for Erik, they were focused on all of the stuff that happened more than 10 years ago, as opposed to what he's done in the last 10 years. The irony is you're about to play clips that were leaked, and they have now, because I confronted them with it, the California Department of Corrections has admitted erroneously they broke the rules, and they broke the rules while holding in the brothers for supposedly breaking the rules. So it's rich. It was, I've said it elsewhere, it was rigged, and I'm going to go to the governor and I'm going to go to a Superior Court judge to try to get it reversed.
Well, you know, the governor could have done this a long time ago if he wanted to. Let's play the first piece of sound from Erik's, the leaked piece of audio.
Who first acted in terms of the violence?
Lyle came to the top of the stairs after my dad had ordered me to my room and said he was coming up, and said, "It's happening now." But my focus was, Dad's coming to my room. I can't let Dad come to my room. And Lyle said, "You understand, it's happening now." And I knew what that meant. We were about to die now. Fear was driving me to that den, and rage. Dad was going to come to my room and rape me that night. And I got the gun in my room, and I went down to the car, and I loaded it, and I ran into that den before Lyle could. I didn't even wait for Lyle. I knew I had to get to that den.
Look, obviously, people are going to be fascinated by this, Mark, because there's a real interest in the narrative. But 35 years later, is this typical in a parole board meeting that you have to go back through the events of that night?
Yes, in one sense you do, because you have to have the insight. What was completely off the charts about that hearing is that the gentleman who was conducting it, Mr. Barton, is the same gentleman who previously gave parole and found that Sirhan was suitable. The idea that you could find Sirhan suitable, who for 25 years has denied that he had anything to do with the crime, and say he's got insight, and then come to Erik and say he's unsuitable, just shows you that the die was cast as soon as they walked in the door.
Now, obviously, the big what should we call it? The big dividing line on this with people who have no sympathy for them was always about the mother. And there's a piece of sound that goes to that from Erik's hearing. Let's listen to it.
My mother had shown that she was united with my dad, but I still didn't believe she knew. And when I found out that she knew, I no longer saw him and her as different. They were different. She was his victim. I should have known that. I should have separated it in my mind. But at that night, I saw them as one person.
You had to go out and reload to kill her.
Yes. All I heard was a no, and I ran out. That's the part of this that is the hardest. I was, God, I did not do that.
Did you, when you heard that
let me
line of
make a
questioning,
couple of comments. Yeah, let me
go
make
ahead.
a couple of comments. Do you know the only way that anybody knows that fact is because Lyle in trial number 1 testified to that. There was nobody there. There wasn't any video. That's how they know that. It's been talked about. It is kind of the go-to line for everybody when they want to talk about the trial or what happened. Number 2, at that same trial where Lyle and Erik testified, guess what? Not one, but 2 juries split evenly and voted not guilty on the murder, guilty of manslaughter. This was not a self-defense case. This is what's called imperfect self-defense. At least be honest. One of my big problems with Nathan Hochman, who is the DA in LA County, he's way too smart for this. He's playing to the cheap seats when he says they were going for self-defense. They never went for self-defense. It was imperfect self-defense. They weren't trying to justify what they did. They were mitigating from murder to manslaughter. And by the way, the jurors who heard it agreed that it was a manslaughter, fully half of them. That's the first point. Second point is, for everybody who's going to sit there and say, how could you possibly let them out? How could you possibly say this? How could you ever do Kitty? I will tell you one thing. It's easy to say that. However, you do realize that Kitty's older sister, Joan, has assiduously worked for their release. She was not only the older sister, she characterizes herself as a matriarchal figure, a matriarch to them. And Jose's older sister has uniformly said for their release. And part of the reason that I'm so angry at the parole board is they leaked this tape right before the family was set to testify for Lyle, where a number of the family members said, hey, you have traumatized us, re-traumatized us. You threw autopsy photos up unannounced during the resentencing. You walled us off from victim services. And then you do this. You tell us we can't have any support people here to listen to this proceeding or when we testify. And you're going to leak the tape so it goes viral before we testify. It's outrageous, frankly.
Counselor Geragos, thank you very much, and to be continued.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.